And record. Ugh, my ears hurt.
You've been listening to too much loud Japanese rock band music?
Did Jean-Marc tell you about how I made him listen to that in the hotel room?
No.
We ended up having this really weird conversation, and by weird I mean awesome, a conversation about prog rock versus prog metal, and we started talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. And baby metal was one of the things we ended up talking about, and I made him listen to it because Jean-Marc speaks some Japanese. Because he lived there for a couple of years.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody.
I forgot to go in the chat room.
Out there in Streamland. It's always good to see you guys and gals.
I'm not even logged in as the right person. Twitch, help me out here. How do I log out?
If you in the chat room could let us know how the levels are sounding. We were having some weird stuff with mics earlier. So if you could specifically tell me how I sound in relation to John and vice versa, that would be really helpful.
Is it really that hard to log out of Twitch? Why is there no button? All right. This will do.
Yeah, so the speaking Japanese bit is because our booth at PAX was around the corner from a booth that was selling Japanese the game.
Okay, like a language learning?
Yes, pretty much. Gamified learning of Japanese. But it's just, that is a really funny title, in my opinion. Okay, so John
I guess they're also going with the the game format.
I'm going to turn John down a bit. All right, speak, John, or forever hold your peace.
I have no peace to hold.
How does that sound? Does that sound better, guys? I turned him down just a bit. So him and his buddy Dan, who were both staying in the room with me, were playing Japanese the game, which they bought a copy of. And that led to a discussion of baby metal, as it often does, which I'm a big fan of. So yeah, here we are, everybody. Thank you, as always, for joining us around the Sentinels Live. See, I'm even reading it and screwing it up. Yeah, so last week I was in Boston, so I didn't have my script. So this week I made sure to have my script out, and I still can't read it. So welcome, one and all, to Sentinels Live. Thanks for joining us around the digital tabletop while we play Sentinels of the Multiverse. The goal of these streams is to have fun while showing you how to play the game, as well as covering some of those strategies that can maybe help you win. As we are the developers, you can always be sure to get some insight into the process, maybe even see some stuff before anyone else. The game does include a tutorial that covers the basics, but we always do our best to explain exactly what we're doing, when we do it, and why. And depending on how long it takes for us to win or lose, we sometimes play more than one full game in an episode. And episodes can last anywhere. That's what I'm going to say. Instead of episodes can last, and lepisodes anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. Sentinels of the Multiverse is currently available for iPad, Android tablets, as well as PC, Mac, and Linux via Steam. And you can always get more info about the game at sentinelsdigital.com. Lepisode, yes. Lepistode. Sentinelsdigital.com.
Last week I was running the stream. So weird. I feel like I have nothing to do.
Yeah, it's a very different experience to not run the stream. I kept not understanding that people couldn't see my screen, which was not useful. So, all right. So, is there anything going on in the world of Sentinels of the Multiverse, the video game, right now?
Nothing big.
Yeah, I feel like I just need a kick in the pants to remember when I'm supposed to start talking about this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kick in the pants to start talking about something. Yeah, I'm sure it's not a mystery to anyone who actually comes to our stream on a regular basis, but we are now at $51,570 of our 80,000 goal. So, yahoo! It's 1,576 backers. That's way more than 50% funded. Just over a week in, which is awesome.
Yeah, we're almost 2/3.
Yeah. We're moving right along. And I think some of you may have noticed, but if you didn't, I'll let you know that we literally about an hour ago just posted another update, which was actually not so much a Kickstarter update as it was a bit of a peek behind the curtain. There's obviously been some talk in the Kickstarter about, like, what does it cost to do these things and blah, 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 blah. And
I thought you had millions of dollars.
Yeah, aren't you guys...
video game, and obviously you have millions of dollars to do whatever you want.
Aren't you guys all swimming in hot tubs full of champagne and, smashing flies with your iPads and all that other fun stuff? But strangely enough, we're not actually doing that.
Turns out video games cost a lot of money to make.
Yes. And it's funny, too, because I've been known, and I promise I'm not going to go off on a rant here, but I have been known to rail against the sort of, like, vanity Kickstarters for, like, oh, we're a team that actually does have millions of dollars, and we could totally make this game with not only the money in the bank, but our vast investor contacts, but we're going to do a Kickstarter and raise some nominal amount of money. We're making a game that's going to cost $8.5 million, and we're going to raise $50,000 on Kickstarter, and guys, if you don't back us, we're really not going to make it, because the problem is... that makes it seem like you could develop that $8 million game for $50,000 because that's what people think. And then it makes it much harder for people like us who are trying to make a game for $100,000 and we're only asking for $80,000. And then it's like, I can't believe they would want $80,000. Anyway. Mini rant. It was a mini rant. It wasn't a full rant. It was just a mini rant. So, for those of you checking out the screen that you see these little pulsing buttons here, you probably see this green button that says Season 2 Preview. If you've recently launched Steam in the last couple hours, you've probably seen this, and you could pop it open. But this is, it's not playable anything for Season 2, but it's a way for you to hear the cool Season 2 soundtrack, the theme music that Jean-Marc came up with. And it's actually something we were using at our demo this weekend at PAX, which gives you, a way to sort of look through... some of the screens that we're coming up with, the mock-ups that we've put together for Season 2, as well as some just general information about the Kickstarter. Again, we're doing everything we can to get people's attention towards the Kickstarter, because obviously we want to fund it so that we can get started on Season 2 right away, because that's what we want to do.
I get to play with their page flippy thing, too, and make it look even cooler.
Yes, flipping pages back and forth.
It's all fancy. It sort of has some more fancy effects than you see in-game, because they wouldn't look good in-game, but they're kind of cool in that context, where it's like you're flipping through a comic book.
Indeed. So that is the Season 2 preview that's in-game, again, just sort of to help drive attention. As you guys, I feel like I have to say this, even though I know that literally everyone who's watching the stream has probably already retweeted us like 6 times, but do whatever you can to help us spread the word. We're not funded yet, but one of the things we did mention in the update today is that we will be announcing at least some of the stretch goals tomorrow, so that some people have said, all right, I backed it, what's next? And so we'll have some more information about that tomorrow. I can't speak to exactly what time, but that is definitely something we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So
we should what do you think about taking a few questions up front and then some questions at the end of the stream today?
Yeah, by all means.
Because we always like to answer questions, and so why don't we take a little question period for 5 minutes or so. I saw there was a question about why was the Kickstarter shorter than most Kickstarter projects? Do you have any thoughts about that, Jeremy?
Okay, so basically I did actually a fair bit of research before launching the Kickstarter, and I also sought out some advice from people who have done successful Kickstarters, and counter to what they did with Oblivion, which was actually a 5-week Kickstarter. Basically what Paul from Greater Than Games said, he's like, there's some pretty good numbers out there that show that the shorter the project is, the better it will do. Not literally, not on a linear scale, but like anything around a month is pretty good, and anything over a month is usually you're sort of, it gets lower and lower. If I had to do over again, we probably would have gone for an extra week. But it is what it is. 26 days is still almost a month. And so that was kind of what we were shooting for there. Specifically because we wanted to go with we wanted to start at the beginning of a week and end on a Friday. There's also some pretty good numbers out there that ending on a Friday is usually good. And this allows us to end on Friday the 13th. And how could I not end on Friday the 13th? It's like the luckiest day there is.
It's true. Pretty lucky.
Hang on, I gotta go fix my fan.
He's fixing his fan. So I will answer this question, which isn't a question, but it is, dude, French baguettes get lethal after a week. Which you could interpret as, do French baguettes get lethal after a week? And the answer is true. The answer is yes. French baguettes are a deadly weapon, probably even after like 3 days.
Yeah, 2 to 3 days, I would say.
Yeah, you can probably kill a man with a baguette. You need to.
I had to fix my fan because we're in that weird, annoying springtime in Cleveland where it's warm outside, but not so warm that they're turning on the air conditioning in the building yet. And in my little office, there is a lot of computers. And so I am very warm. So
I was in the Highlands of Scotland this weekend, and we had, I don't know if I can list all of the weather that we had in order, but we had sunshine, we had hail, snow, rain, sleet, like a massive snowstorm that we drove through. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Sounds like a fun weekend in Cleveland too.
Basically, it was a lot of fun. We went up to Loch Ness and looked for the Loch Ness monster, and went to the Highlander Castle, and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah. Sockfoot 2000 asks, if I funded up to the being a beta tester level, what would I be expected to do? That's a wonderful question. So being a beta tester for Sentinels essentially means that there's rights and privileges and responsibilities that come with it. The privilege is that you get to basically see builds before they become public when they're still in the testing phase. But the responsibility that comes with that is that we expect you to try the builds, install them and try them, and report any bugs to us that you find with as much detail as you possibly can. We have actually probably I'd say like 2 or 3 different levels of beta testers. We have people that are, sort of casual beta testers who, they'll install a build, play it once or twice, see if they see anything, some gross negligence and let us know. Then we have people on the far other end of the spectrum who are like some of the most amazing people in the history of the world.
Like they'll see a forum post where someone says this weird thing happened, and they'll like go and reproduce it in the beta and send us a report.
Yeah. It's pretty, like we have a pretty amazing group of play testers, beta testers who not only will they help track down existing bugs, but they'll literally like. So I'll just actually, here's another fun little peek behind the curtain. We are beginning the process of testing guys, not in the UI yet, but in what we call alpha testing in the mega computer. And the mega computer is essentially a text-based version of Sentinels of the Multiverse that we use just to test the engine, make sure the rules are working the way they're supposed to. And we have beta testers who are testing out Guys' cards. And for those who don't know, Guys has a card that lets him steal, and I'm going to say this wrong, but it's basically steal the game text of another card, right? Sort of?
Basically, copy the game text. He has one that steals equipment, and he has one that copies ongoings.
Right. And so the problem with a card like that is the only real way to make sure it works is to test it with like every single card in the game. Now, we can write some automated testing that can do some of that, but there's edge cases and other difficulties, and we have beta testers who are really just been troopers. I keep saying beta. Yeah, alpha testers who have been going through that stuff and really keeping us in reports, which is good, because the more that we can not be spending our time testing, the more time Jean-Marc and John can be working on actually fixing those bugs. And so it helps streamline our process so much. It's really terrific. So
yeah, and helps make sure that when the game gets out to the public, there aren't there's always things that are going to slip through, but they're very few compared to what there would be.
So Mario Fanatic asks, has Sentinels Digital made a profit thus far? Because I have now been spending more time talking with people in accounting circles, there is no easy way to answer that question. We are profitable so far for calendar year 2016. If you count us from the day we raised money to begin working on Sentinels, the answer to that question is no. We are not yet profitable by that measure. We have not
returned our investment.
Exactly. So if you count total dollars spent to build things and buy things and prepare things against total revenue generated historically, we are not yet profitable, no. But we are, as I say, so far profitable for 2016. So since the beginning of January, we have sold slightly more Sentinels Digital than we have spent on developing Sentinels Digital. Not a crazy ton, especially because, again, historically, we have not yet made back our initial investment by any stretch of the imagination. Well, maybe not by any stretch. That's kind of overstating it. We have miles
What
to go
Jeremy's
before
saying
we
is that he can get extra cheese on his pizza.
Yeah, there's a there's a measurement in Silicon Valley known as like being pizza profitable and being sushi profitable. I would say we're probably pizza profitable at this point. We're not yet sushi profitable. So, all right,
definitely not sushi pizza profitable.
Celinda's asks, I have a question. So everyone expects decks like Card Grand Guys to be complicated and hard to implement. What's an example of a deck or a card that ended up being more complicated than you would have expected, but looked like it was easy? Or looked like it was easy, but was actually hard. John, thoughts?
Just trying to think about that. I would say Explosives Wagon was something that seemed easy, but ended up having really crazy implications in how the game works that we had to figure out. It was a while ago because that was back in Mini Pack 1. But essentially, so what happens with Explosives Wagon is when it's destroyed, it deals damage to everything, including to every target, including itself. And so what came out of that when we built that card was that there's this whole sort of ruling about what happens while a card is being destroyed. And, when do things, what things are allowed to happen and when are things not happening. And you can get into, and of course it went well with Ambuscade, who also does things when things are destroyed. And so it became sort of a touch point in like how one card can lead to a lot of crazy stuff. And we've come to expect that, especially, I mentioned before in the stream, Dynamic Siphon is a card that itself is not complicated. When this card is dealt damage, a player may use a power. Oh, no big deal. Except now, so before, basically, you could play cards and use powers at certain times, when, during your play phase, power phase, start of your turn sometimes, end of your turn sometimes, that sort of thing, or, right now, if you get to play a card. And because of Argent Adept and other heroes, playing a card and using power are the same thing. You can sort of get into the same paths of code either way. But what you couldn't do was do those things from within damage being dealt. But with Dynamic Siphon, you can. And so it basically means that anything can happen in the game at any time, because damage can get dealt in all sorts of situations. And that means that Dynamic Siphon can go off in those situations, which means powers can get used, which means cards can get played, which means anything can happen, basically. So it's interesting. So I'm sure there's still bugs lurking in the game based on crazy situations you can set up with Dynamic Siphon, but we've hopefully tracked down at least most of the stuff that you're going to run into.
Yeah, so, and this is where I'll go ahead and jump in and say, in the update that we just posted, we talked about what it cost us to build the engine up front. And the fact of the matter is we've actually had people come to us and be like, oh, come on, it can't possibly be that hard. You just have a spreadsheet that does X, Y, and Z. And while those people are clearly wrong, I can understand why they might think that, because they would think to themselves, like, this card deals damage. Well, duh, that's easy. But one of the reasons why we spent the time and the money to build the engine right the first time was so that it would be extensible when we got to these later cards. Luckily, we already knew what a lot of these decks were before we actually started. I mean, at the moment we started building Sentinels of the Multiverse, the video game, I think Vengeance was actually already out and Wrath of the Cosmos was getting ready to come out. Does that sound right? So
yeah, I
guys,
think Wrath of the Cosmos was in pre-order time.
Yeah. So Guys and Wager Master had already been out. So we kind of already knew, like, oh, there's all these weird things already happening. And so we have to sort of plan ahead. Like, we don't need them right now, but let's make sure we're building the engine in such a way that we will be able to do those things later. And so to Jean-Marc and John's credit, they did that. And so things where it's like, oh, we could have gotten to a place where it's like, oh, now we have to do this thing. I guess we have to rewrite the whole engine from scratch. Whereas instead, they actually had built it in such a way that it was pretty modular. I mean, one of the interesting things is that, technically speaking, and John confirmed this for me like 6 months ago. I don't know if he's going to remember that he confirmed it to me. Technically speaking, the engine as it exists right now knows how to handle more than one villain. We haven't built in the support to actually do that, because the engine was built in such a modular way that it's not like there's these heroes and then the villain. It's just there's heroes, there's villain, and there's environment, and it doesn't necessarily care if it's plural or not. I mean, obviously, the engine is...
Yeah, there's certain cards that will need to be taught to know about that, but the engine itself is a little more generalized.
Yeah, so that's good. All right.
So any cards that's like looking for the villain deck will need some updates and so on, but we've tried to build things so that we can, replace a function that they all call and it all deals with it and so on. So
yeah. Seraph Blade says, I play Sentinels Multiverse almost every day. That is awesome. Thank you.
I'll answer one quick question about Tabletop Simulator and so on. I think those are interesting. They're a fun program, and they're sort of like basically replicating a sandbox to do whatever you want. I don't think it really affects us too much, because the experience you get with that doesn't really match. The experience is really, I've played on Tabletop Simulator some, and it's really awkward and slow, and there's no rules, there's no rules handling and stuff like that. So it doesn't really, I feel it's a different experience, and I don't think it really hurts us. I don't know if it helps us. There's definitely copyright issues that I'm not going to get into because it's not my copyrights. But yeah, hope that answers the question.
All right, so John, I'm in Mind Over Matter number 40.
All right.
If you'd like to join.
Oh yeah, we're gonna play a game.
We should probably play some Sentinels tonight, maybe. Oh, so a couple of things that I wanted to mention. So I think I already mentioned the first one, which is that we will be announcing some of the stretch goals tomorrow. The number 2 thing is about the stream next week. 1 week from tonight, same bat time, same bat channel. If all goes according to plan, we will be beginning previews of Mini Pack 3 next week. I won't tell you what we're going to preview, but I think you can guess what it's not going to be based on the conversation we just had about difficulties in programming. So yeah, check it out. That might not be the only surprise next week, so that could be good stuff. We're obviously really looking forward to getting Mini Pack 3 in everybody's hands, mainly because that's going to mark the close of Season 1, which means we can really go full bore into Season 2, assuming we have the money to do so.
Yes.
Which I think we will. I will... Go ahead.
Some people were talking about Twist the Ether and stuff, and I would just like to mention that we knew those cards would be... There's some cards that would be difficult to implement, and they were, like Twist the Ether and Sub-Zero Atmosphere are 2 examples.
While we're picking heroes, by the way, I went ahead and picked Deadline and Final Wasteland, and for those smart Sentinels among us, I think they probably know that the reason why I picked these 2 together is that these are the 2, the villain and the environment, currently, that actually have the ability to remove cards from the game.
You should put it on Advanced.
Yeah, what is Advanced? Let's pop him open and check out his Advanced so that we can... Oh, that was not double click. All right, Advanced. Whenever a catastrophe card is destroyed, Deadline deals each hero target 3 infernal damage, and on his flip side, whenever an environment card is destroyed, each hero character deals itself 1 psychic damage. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Oh, we have a question. As a computer science major in college, what do you suggest to study if you want to go into game development? I would suggest continuing on your course as a computer science major. That's what I did, and I found that going to university and learning computer science in a structured way prepares you for any kind of development in a way that trying to do like a specific language focus or sub module focus or whatever doesn't. And so if you have the tools to understand things that might seem boring when you're in school, like data structures and optimization and big O notation and things like that, those are things that are, and how programming languages work and how compilers work and how machines work, those are things that you will need. And those things will help you. If you know the fundamentals, you can basically, you learn how to learn. computer stuff.
Yeah, and if
you'll
John will allow me to
Yep.
say something nice about him for a moment. It's one of the reasons why, like I've actually said in many occasions, if I could just clone John, I would. And it's because of the exact reasons that he just said, which is that when it's time to develop a thing, John doesn't go, well, I work in jQuery, so I think jQuery is the best tool for this job. It's, he understands the fundamentals of development. And so it's like, all right, we're going to do Sentinels. What should we do it in? Let's look around and see what the best choice is. Unity? Fine. Give me a weekend and a book and I'll come back knowing Unity. Because I understand development in general. So if we work in, whatever it is, mono type, whatever that IDE is, writing, there's some C# code in there. I'm sure there's some, we do Objective-C for the iOS stuff. We do, the Java-based stuff that's happening to make sure they work on Android properly. He can basically find the tool and utilize the tool in the way it's meant to be used because he understands the fundamentals that underlie all of those tools. And so that is definitely one of the best possible skill sets you can have going into any sort of development.
Yeah. So one of the things that actually I found really useful is applying non-game development paradigms to game development. And as we've chatted about a little bit is applying design patterns to game development. Like a lot of game development is really nasty code, and it doesn't have to be. You can actually build things in a principled, structured way, and it makes your life so much easier. We've built Sentinels with a bit of the model view controller paradigm, where the rules engine of the game is a separate module that comprises the model, which is what is a game of Sentinels? What is the state of the table? If you went to a table and there's a game of Sentinels on it, how would you be able to sit down and start playing? That's the model. It turns out in Sentinels, it's not just what you see. There's also other stuff. But we also encode that in the model, like Legacy had used his power this round and so on like that. But that's all part of the model. That's something we need to save if we need to reload the game, for example. And then the controller is the rules. What does Galvanize do? What does Twist the Ether do? Ha ha ha. What does Guys do? The logic and the code of what the cards do. But all that doesn't have anything to do with what you see on a screen. That's all just logic. And so those things are separated out, and even separate from one another. And so we can have unit tests that run on those. We can have the Mega Computer, which is just a text-based interface. We have a developer version of the Mega Computer that's even more low level that we can use to set up situations and test them and so on. And then we have our Unity front end, which is just another view. It can be anything can hook into the engine and run the rules and play it. We actually, when we first were testing out Unity stuff, we had like a very sort of button clicky thing to play the game just to make sure that it would actually hook up to Unity properly. There was no graphics and no cards, just really sort of almost like Amiga level graphics. Yeah. Well, Amiga is better than that, say VIC-20. All right, where was I?
All right, so I've picked Captain Cosmic and Tempest just because. I have no idea if those are good choices for this particular matchup, but I thought I'd give it a shot. Some people are suggesting Ra.
I'll take Ra. Ra is in the news these days. And I will take Expatriate because she's awesome. And I've been watching Daredevil.
All right, let's do... What do you think? You want to go first with Expatriate, maybe?
Sure.
How's that lineup look?
That looks good.
All right. So we're doing Advanced Deadline at Final Wasteland versus Expatriate, Captain Cosmic, Ra, and Tempest.
Profitability says, I love people who think that game designers sit around all day playing video games. That is something we do have to do, but not all day. Some of the day.
It is with great regret that I destroy your civilization, humans. It is the only way. You're in my crosshairs. I can't imagine this will go well for you. Yeah, and it's funny too. I play our game for fun a lot because I really. Oh
like I play a game for fun all the time. I love it.
But I also play our game and it's not fun a lot. Like, there are times where it's like, okay, there's a bug. All right, I saw this once. I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna do it again and see if it does the same thing. I'm gonna back up, change one thing, and do it again and see if and you'll do the same thing like over and over again. Like, you really have
As a
to.
beta tester, that's a thing we would like you to do.
Yes, yes, yeah. To further answer that question earlier, that is definitely a thing.
Oh, and Jean-Marc is in the chat if you have code questions for him.
Ah ha ha. Oh, I forgot to read all my stuff before I hit start, so let's go back and read everything. So, Expatriate starts with Arsenal Access, Assault Rifle, Liquid Nitrogen Rounds, Tactical Shotgun. Captain Cosmic has an Augmented Ally, Conservation of Energy, Potent Disruption, Sustained Influence. I've been playing a lot more Captain Cosmic, so I'm really trying to get the hang of him. Ra's got 2 Flame Spikes, Flesh of the Sun God, and Scorched Earth. And Tempest has got a Ball of Lightning, Genebound Shackles, Shielding Winds, and Vicious Cyclone. Deadline, out comes his Atomic Englaive, as it always does. He, at the end of the villain turn, if there are 3 or more Catastrophe cards in play, he flips. Otherwise, the top card of the villain deck is played. And on advance, whenever Catastrophe card is destroyed, Deadline deals each hero target 3 infernal damage. Yikes. Out came his Severed Ley Line. Ongoing Catastrophe. At the start of the villain turn, each player shuffles their trash into their deck, and Deadline regains 2 HP. And he also has Calculated Orogenesis. At the start of the villain turn, play the top card of the environment deck. Then that environment card deals each non-villain target 2 melee damage. Alright, so, Expatriate.
Oh, sorry, I'm AFK.
That's because I was talking and making things happen.
That's okay. I'm going to answer a question. My favorite big O is... what is my favorite big O? Hang on. I think it's N log N. Yeah. Yeah, big O N log N. Because quicksort, the average, but it usually works in N log N. So quicksort is your friend. All right.
Otaku Dash says 12 bugs of code on the wall, 12 bugs to fix, patch one up, boot it up, 45 bugs of code on the wall. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so Deadline's Advanced is whenever... Yes, this makes it interesting. I think Advanced Deadline is much more interesting than regular Deadline because there's a consequence to destroying those cards. He deals a lot of damage to each hero target if you destroy a catastrophe.
One might even say his catastrophes are catastrophic.
That's right. But in the end, he's still Deadline, and he's weak to just massive damage directly against him. So that's what I'm going to do.
So for those who don't know the story of Deadline as a villain, basically, at least my understanding of it, I'm sure John will correct me, he has felt a disturbance, essentially, in the multiverse, and he has sort of determined that the multiverse, there's some disturbance around Earth, and it has to do with the heroes of Earth. What we have later learned is that this disturbance is in some way related to Oblivion, but we don't know exactly how that's going to happen yet. And so he is not necessarily a villain in the strictest sense. He basically just says, whatever is causing the problems here is centered on Earth. If I get rid of Earth, the problems will go away. That's kind of his thought. Is that a fair representation, John?
Yep, and he found that out with like his super scope from the Enclave of the Endlings.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he lived. Well, he lives. I guess he's on a road trip.
Yeah. Let's augment Ra. He doesn't have his.
Does Ra have another?
He doesn't have right now, but I want to get it started up, and I didn't want to use any of my other ones because I don't have anything else to use them on for the moment.
Okay, I mean, Expatriate would probably want it more, but...
Oh, well. All right, well, what about Vitality Conduit? Who's our glass cannon here?
Pretty much anyone. I tend to like to put it on Captain Cosmic himself because it helps him stay alive and keep the rest of his constructs alive.
Yeah,
but it's also nice to put it onto another construct, like a Dynamic Siphon, for example.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that's something that I haven't really worked out how to go several levels deep yet on Captain Cosmic. I'm still working some of that out. I'm sure there's a way to have like constructs all the way down and have some amazing stuff happening, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Deadline was in fact a Super Nintendo fan and was one of the 10 people who bought a Super Scope.
I missed that
question.
What was that?
Question in the chat. Did Deadline play Super Nintendo and have a
Ah,
Super Scope?
yes, indeed. Taku Dash says, Deadline. I sense a disturbance in the multiverse. It's like a million voices started whispering. Infinitor. I know, right? Well played, sir.
Otaku Dash, the Sentinels comedian.
Yes, Estelinda says, it never even occurred to me to put constructs on constructs, just playing the physical card game. Yeah, another one of those things that sort of falls out of playing with the digital rules. There was actually something really specific. Oh, right. I know what it was. So constructs and maybe not even not constructs, but constructs and Blue Go. That was an issue with the 1.8 that we had to fix in 1.8.1, which is that Blue Go goes on the target with the lowest hit points, and there are some constructs that you can put on any target. So you could put a construct on a target, and then if on Blue Go, and if that construct has the lowest, Blue Go has to go on that construct. So we got into this weird like breaking,
He ripped a hole in the fabric of space
yeah,
time.
we were dividing by 0, and it was just not fun. Okay, so basically what we're saying is, do we not want me to destroy these catastrophes?
So if you do, look at his card.
Yeah,
See what happens on advanced.
Yeah, we take more damage, right? So that's what I'm.
Yeah, so we really need, like, usually you try to put something on him that, like, prevents him from dealing damage, and then you go ahead. But we don't actually have anything like that on this team. So
I could just Gene Bound Shackles for the moment. I mean, how much extra damage are we going to take from the two of these? Each non-villain target 2 melee damage from an environment
I
card.
would go Gene-Bound Shackles.
Yeah. All right.
And then maybe next turn, well, he does Irreducible on his other side. But I think this turn, it's like, we'll cross our fingers that he won't flip. There's a chance he won't flip. And then if he doesn't, I'll use Flesh of the Sun God to protect us from the fire damage. We'll see.
Yep. That we will. All right. Anything to do with the order here? Just choose 4.
I don't think the order matters, so...
Yeah. And you might have heard the healing sound in there. The Vitality Conduit got hit. He's still he's already at the highest, so...
All right, so we all have to shovel our trash into our deck.
Yeah, glad I'm not playing Tachyon.
Yeah, Deadline is rough against Tachyon.
So a lot of people talking about how much, talking a lot of love for Enclave of the Endlings music, which I absolutely concur with. And one of the other things that I wanted to mention is not only is it one of my favorite environments to listen to, but it's actually rapidly becoming my favorite environment to play in.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I was actually playing a really amazing... on the Kickstarter, somebody had suggested for a weekly one-shot an Akashbuta game with Captain Cosmic and I think Omnitron X. And so I tried to set up with that where it was in Enclave of the Endlings, which allowed me to discover that Akashbuta in Enclave of the Endlings is crazy pants. Because with the, I mean, you have...
Oh, yeah.
Like...
Just like Final Wasteland.
Like, get her card out that says, if you play... What is it? Allies of the Earth, I want to say? Where you play an environment target and she gains HP, and then Immutus comes out. And now, all of a sudden, your last 5 turns worth of damage, she just healed it all back up. Craziness.
Yeah, Immutus is crazy. You can turn a game. Hopefully for you, because... the villain turn comes in. All right, he's destroying these 3 cards, as we thought might happen, but hoped he wouldn't. And...
Bye-bye, Constructs.
Ra can take this.
Oh, speaking of plushies... if you guys didn't see the pictures of the Unity cosplay that was at PAX this weekend, head to either at Handelabra or at Mr. J Handel and take a look at the pictures of me as Luminary with Unity. Misa Cosplay is the woman who did it, and she looked amazing. She was like, to a T, perfect Unity.
Yeah, her cosplay was awesome. Was there much cosplay overall at PAX?
Not a ton. There was like, I think I saw a grand total of maybe 4, which was odd.
I saw there was a Legacy, or a Young Legacy.
There was a Young Legacy, yeah. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. In previous... Actually, there tends to be more at PAX Prime /West. than PAX East, but usually there are at least a few more at PAX East. But all right, I have no constructs out, so I guess dynamic siphon it is. And for power usage, I think you were saying you like the idea of expatriate.
I guess it depends on whose powers in this game we'd want to use more. I think expatriate, at least right now,
Yeah, she's got her
she's
gun,
got her
yeah,
shotgun, and then even when even if she loses her shotgun, she can play another card with her power, so that's nice.
And another augmented ally. Also expatriate. Does anybody else have a? I don't like. Tempest doesn't have another power out. Captain Cosmic. This is gonna be one of yours. What do you think?
Drawn to the Flame is actually really good in this game because of Deadline puts out ongoings. But I think it seems, I think I would say give it to Ra, and because he'll probably want to use it more than expatriate. And you get another dynamic siphon, so there you go. I'm not sure if I want to use 2 powers this turn, so I'm going to skip this time. But I'll get out Drawn to the Flame, and I'll have it ready. And next turn, you can start doing some stuff.
If Ivan G. Ramanat from Twitter could hear you, I'm sure he would be very excited that you like his Twitter account.
Yeah, he's not on the live stream though. Come on,
he's too busy.
He's just on Twitter all the time.
All right.
Oh, someone likes my picture from my Fnatic picture. Actually, I should post the original. So I was in Rome. We went to the Palatine Hill, which is by the Colosseum. And in the museum there, they have a pair of wings, sculpted wings, in a cool display. And you can get an awesome picture with them, which I did. So the wings that you see in that picture are actually real. They're not stuck to me, but they're right behind me. And I was like, I have to take this picture. And my partner's like, I don't understand, but I will do that. Brittany acquiesced and helped out with Photoshop too.
All right. So I was actually not looking. I was on Twitter. So what did he do? He put out 2 catastrophes, and it looks like he flipped back over.
Yeah, so he flips back over if he has none at the start of his turn.
Aha.
And then he plays his card, and then he plays the end of turn card too. So I think it's likely that he's going to flip again. I mean, we sort of risked that he wouldn't, but with 2, it's likely that he will.
Yeah.
And so I think we can use the Flesh of the Sun God. I'll use Flesh of the Sun God on my turn to protect us from his fire damage. Yeah, so I think from Expatriate, I will just continue shooting things. That snowman, is the snowman going after us? Actually, the snowman's going after constructs. So I'm not sure how much you care about that.
Which contracts are even in play right now?
There's the Dynamic Siphon and Augmented Ally.
Augmented Ally. Yeah, and I don't really have... I have another Dynamic Siphon to put out. Or I could sustain the influence. Keep it out.
Yeah, well, or if we get the Englaive down to 4,
yeah,
we can tell the snowman to hit that. Which actually we probably can, because Ra will hit it for 2 with Drawn to the Flame. And Ra can actually hit it for 1. Or no, Tempest will flank it for 1. So yeah, so that'll be taken care of.
Hey, chat room, I'm just noticing now we're at 51,935. If I don't notice it, if we happen to cross 52, let me know so I can scream and shout. so totem disruption is the destroy one construct card. Yeah, okay. Are you?
Are you drumming your fingers?
I'm not. I'm just thinking. Why does it sound like I'm drumming my fingers?
Yes. Is that what your thinking sounds like?
It must. I'm just gonna get out another dynamic siphon, I think. Because Ra has augmented ally, but that requires a card discard. Whereas
I will be. Well, I don't have to do that because I do have Flame Spike, but I wouldn't mind. I could discard. I could use 3 powers if I discard.
right, but I'm saying like you have 3 powers out that for with a dynamic siphon on you out of turn could be useful in addition to the augmented. So let's do that. And then let's see what we get. Another augmented ally.
Sure, play it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to play it. The question is where. I mean, I still don't really think I've got... Yeah, I don't have another power to put out for Tempest, so I feel like
put
it's
it on
Expatriate.
Expatriate, yeah. And you have Potent Disruption, so you can destroy a construct for a big damage.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's definitely something making a noise. Maybe it's your fan.
Yeah, I wonder if it's my fan. I cannot turn it off.
Okay. It's like
it's way too high.
Making a knocking noise. Can you turn it away from the mic, maybe?
Yeah, let's see if I can do something about that.
It's getting worse.
Did that change anything?
It might have gotten worse. It might be okay. I don't know.
Are you guys hearing it in the chat? That's me drumming my fingers.
Sounds the same.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll see what they say. Oh, yes, I hear the knocking.
Huh. Knocking.
Yeah, like that's the sound. It sounds like you're drumming your fingers exactly. But like out of tune, so it's probably not that.
All right, I'm going to turn the fan off entirely. You tell me if it stops. All right, the fan is completely off. Has it stopped?
No. Is your Drobo thing still syncing?
Oh, that very well might be it.
It could definitely be hard drive heads.
All right, hang on. Let me see.
Can you isolate that from the table at all?
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. What is a thing that I can do? All right, I'll go AFK, and you play for a minute while I try to figure this thing out.
Okay.
I'm taking my headphones off.
I am going to play a Vicious Cyclone, I think, on deadline, because we have Genebound Shackles. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, cool. Dot266 mentions that the video is coming along nicely.
Did that do it?
It's still happening. Maybe it's not as bad.
So one of the other things that has happened is that the iMac fans have kicked on. So I wonder if it's transmuting that to the table in some way. I don't know. I apologize, everybody.
Just pretend it's raining. All right, we get to decide which target has the second lowest, and we decide it is the Endglaive. Yeah, that's UXM 266. Awesome. Looking forward to that. So UXM 266 also has created some cool, like 8-bit sprites of Sentinels characters, and I think that is going to be in the video. So I'm looking forward to that. That will be our first, perhaps our first music video for the social stretch goals. That's not made by me. I made one as an example to show how, like, the bar is really low. So you should try it. All right, so we can take advantage of Dynamic Siphon here to destroy the Horde Skunk Ape before it damages all of us.
Right.
We can have it hit deadline first, because why not?
Yep.
And then, if we want, we can destroy it, or we could just use the damage to hit deadline more. I think these constructs are likely to get destroyed, though, if he flips, because Flesh of the Sun God doesn't protect them; it only protects the heroes.
Aha.
So, yeah, if we do, yeah, we can hit the snowman. Good idea. If we hit Raw's Dynamic Siphon first. Oh, Jean-Marc didn't know that was my video. It totally was. All right, I can do 2 damage to everything.
Oh, shit. I should not have moved that Drogo.
Language.
Sorry. It's just I was in the middle of a 24-hour data cycle.
And it stopped.
And it looks like I accidentally unplugged it while I was moving it. Damn
Whoops.
it.
Well, the knocking is still happening, so it didn't do anything.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Oh, well. And then let's hit Expatriate's Dynamic Siphon.
Like, how quickly is the knocking? It's like, trak, 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 like that?
You can't hear it at all?
I
Can you feel it?
No.
It's gone now. So.
Huh.
Okay, so yeah, so I can use the shotgun to kill the ape, and it won't damage us anymore. So I'm going to do that. Oh, there it was. It was like... It's kind of random. There's a question about the issue with Tempest and the number of cards in decks. That will be fixed in, I think it'll probably be update 1.8.3. There's a small Steam update that came out today with some UI fixes, but we're also working on a bug fix update that affects things in the rules engine, which includes that. That has to go through Apple review because it will affect multiplayer compatibility. So we want to make sure that comes out at the same time for everyone. So that will be potentially next week. We'll see. It will not break the old weekly one-shots, but it may change them. So that's just the life of games. All right, so here we have another situation where Dynamic Siphon can stop madness. So we can have Expatriate's Dynamic Siphon go, and then we could have them both go, I guess. That might be better than having only one go. What do you think?
All right, so if we do Expatriate, what are you going to do? And then when we hit Raw, what is he going to do?
Well, I guess first we can have it hit. They hit all non-villain targets. So hit the snowman and then hit the devil. Oh yeah, so we only need one of them to go to stop this, because the devil is the one that's doing this.
Okay.
The devil is in the details. So if Ra goes, then he can use Drawn to the Flame, which is like paying extreme dividends this game so far. And then that will destroy the New Jersey Devil. And stop the damage. Excellent. All right, so 2 players must put 1 card from hand on top of their deck.
If there's something that we want Captain Cosmic to play for sure.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I could. So potent disruption is you kill one and then its HP is what you deal damage as.
Yes.
I mean, if we, I mean, I would think my two card plays that I would do this turn, if I could put one on top, I would get out Energy Bracer and Sustain Influence. So we could probably put either one of those on top.
Okay. And then I think Expatriate has an extra ammo that she doesn't need right now, so I can put that on top. And then he's going to do a little damage. Brock can take it because he has healing, which he hasn't found yet, but... Oh, so the question about what is the Tempest bug. In the game, Tempest has one more copy of Genebound Shackles and one fewer copy of Lightning Slash than he should. And no one noticed for almost 2 years.
Yes, so that definitely takes the cake for oldest existing bug discovered so far. That has been a bug that has been in every testing version of Sentinels since the very first one ever. We launched with it, and it has been in the game ever since, and it was discovered last week.
Yeah. There's another one that was really old, which was sort of related, but not like an actual like mechanical issue. It was the icons on Cryo Chamber Absolute Zero's card were incorrect, but like, the icons are wrong. Not a huge deal. But yeah, it wasn't a functionally like rules incorrect problem with the game, like the Tempest thing. So it's interesting because like I don't feel like it's really changed Tempest that much because, Lightning Slash is, you have one out of 40, or Hero decks have 40 cards, right? 1 out of 40 chance for 5 damage versus, Genebound Shackles, 1 out of 3 chances to get it, 1 out of 3 extra chance, or I guess 1 out of 40 extra chance to get a Genebound Shackles out, which would do some more damage. So there's like, they're both sort of...
Yeah, I mean, they're strategically different, but functionally they both deal extra damage. So
yeah, or cause more extra damage. So it's, I would say probably, it's hard to say which is, I don't think either one is better. It's just a little different. So the next update will have a Tempest deck with 40 copies of Lightning Slash. That's correct.
I think I found next year's April Fool's joke.
All right,
every single deck in the game only has 1 card in it. Just 40 copies of it.
I can discard a card to use a power. That seems like a good idea, especially since he's put out both his Auto Armor Caster and the Pandemonium Key. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did see that. Yeah, let's talk about those real quick, because I know that we've done one other stream with Deadline, but it was the one that wasn't like on our official stream. So, Pandemonium Key, device, relic. The first time an environment target enters play each turn, play the top card of the villain deck. Yikes. And then Auto Armor Caster. The first time damage would be dealt to Deadline each turn. Prevent that damage. That's an annoying one. I really dislike that card a lot.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of... Yeah, I want to discard a card. I'm going to discard Nitrogen Rounds so that I can use Assault Rifle.
That would actually be a really interesting way to see how the game plays. Like, imagine the chat is kind of going with it. Imagine if every hero deck only had 1 card and it was a damage-dealing 1-shot. How would the game play? I mean, obviously you wouldn't have a lot of, like, decisions to be made, but, like...
Which target to attack.
Yeah, which target to attack. And obviously there are some places where you would just be stuck, like... But I don't know, it would be interesting to say the least.
Oh, excuse me. So, do I want another gun, or do I want to get an ammo? I think I want to get another gun and hope for an unload soon. And now I can shotgun... I guess I should probably shotgun the Armor Caster because it's overall going to be more annoying. So,
yeah, as soon as the Armor Caster comes out, that's always my public enemy #1. I think actually of the 4 new villains in Wrath. I think Deadline's the one I've played the least.
So you could Potent Disruption if you wanted and get rid of it, but Rob will be able to get rid of it.
Yeah,
too.
I like our previous thing. All right, who should we keep from getting hit so much?
I don't know. Everyone's kind of okay right now.
Yeah,
so.
I think I'm going to put it on Tempest, just because I'm really hoping to get a localized hurricane at some point. And that will maybe...
Well, if Tempest gets that and otherworldly resilience, he kind of becomes almost invulnerable. So.
Yeah. And then we had talked about that we were going to get Sustained Influence in play. This way, if we lose anything, we can bring it back. Oh, Wounding Buffer. Finally. I love the Wounding Buffers. Why, John? Because they help you deal damage.
Sometimes to yourself.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. On his flip side, we have to deal ourselves damage, right? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah. All right. So he didn't flip because he ended up playing his devices instead. But he seems likely to flip, especially with the Pandemonium Key. So I'm going to discard to get another round of immunity.
Have you guys been hearing the clicking? Or has it stopped, generally?
I hear it.
You still hear it?
I hear it in my dreams. I hear it in my nightmares. Do we want Imbued Fire? We probably want it. We're immune to fire damage. We can do Imbued Fire.
Sure.
I'm doing it. And I'm going Drawn to the Flame. Order won't really matter because that won't be destroyed, but that's okay. Tempest can do it. So your first discard here won't count, so you might not want to do it.
It's still going, but it's just fainter. And is it constant, or does it, like, come and go?
It comes and goes.
I wonder if it's my chair.
Yeah, it does sound like a hard drive. Maybe it's your IMAX hard drive, but you have a...
It's a fusion drive, yeah.
Fusion drive, so it does have a hard drive. Like...
Yeah, but, like, the mic is on, like a pad. Although my old iMac is still there, but it shouldn't be doing anything.
It's louder now. Did you just do something?
It got louder just now?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's louder now.
What about now?
Now it's gone.
Ah! I figured it out. It looks like my little I don't even know what you call it. It's like a spit screen on my mic. So if I go pop, 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 it doesn't pop the mic. That was like bumping against the back of the microphone.
Because of the fan, maybe.
Possibly. But it's gone now?
It's totally gone now.
Woo! We figured it out.
So the thing that reduces noise was making noise.
Yep. Oh, the irony! Wonderful. We figured it out. Okay. So, in celebration, should I Grievous Hailstorm? That's what I want to do.
Electrical Storm is good too.
I'm going to do this.
It's going to be a fiery hailstorm. Hit the caster first, yeah.
Yes. Oh, Deadline, you can't advance on us.
Derp the Bugbear told you it was the pop filter bumping the mic.
Oh, did he?
I don't know. We didn't see it.
I must have missed it. Sorry, I was running around trying to fix it. I wasn't reading the chat. Well, thank you, Derp the Bugbear.
Oh, I got saved by the flak jacket from the rat beast. Deathworm. Yeah, the Pandemonium Key and
Purple pumpkins plump and pompous.
That sounds good. All right, who is hitting us? It's the Deathworm. Can Expatriate destroy that first? Well, let's let it hit the environment targets first. So here's a trick we can play. So if it destroys the Dynamic Siphon, Captain Cosmic can then put the Dynamic Siphon on a different character and then let the worm will hit it again.
I like it.
Well, let's see what expatriate can do first with hers.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think just hit it with the shotgun. Yeah, so if I hit it with the shotgun, it'll be almost dead. Actually, probably may as well use the assault rifle, and then uh, we can put it onto Ra, and then Ra can get rid of everything else. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So one touch on that. One hit to him. And I'll hit the rat beast because Ra's going to take care of the pandemonium key. And that's hit the other dynamic siphon. Hooray for Trixie Trix. Yeah, I'd put that on Ra because his Drawn to the Flame is going to do the most damage that anyone can do. Which is going to be 5 to everything because of imbued fire. So, I like that.
Nice.
All right. Captain Cosmic probably wants to put a card on top of their deck.
Yeah. I could put Potent Disruption on and then put Wounding Buffer into play next turn. And then kill one of the, maybe the, not, what's the one that's on you guys?
I would
Augmented
destroy Wounding
Allies.
Buffer.
Oh, yeah? Okay. And then...
Because yes, it deals damage, but it's unreliable. You can't make it happen
Right.
the way you want, often. And then the next hero, Tempest. Everyone else is discarding cards to do things. And so is Tempest.
Yeah,
I don't
Tempest
know.
is fine.
Okay.
I think didn't I already have a Shielding Winds? Yeah, I already have a Shielding Winds.
You have both that and Grievous Hailstorm in play, so.
Yep. Subduction something.
Subduction Super Zone. All right, so I don't think the order is going to really matter here, even though the Dynamic Siphon will get hit because there's nothing we can do anyways. So we're all going to use a power, but the order won't matter.
All right. Oh right, but no, one of them is gonna live because of imbued fire.
No, imbued fire doesn't protect constructs.
Oh right, that's what you were saying earlier.
But I can still zap Deadline for a little. We're safe from the fire damage, though, the heroes. And then, yeah, we get another one, so this is just going to hurt. And all your constructs will be gone.
Wah, wah. You. Magnetic pole shift.
That's 5 irreducible fire damage we're avoiding, so that's nice. That's probably why they requested that Ra be in the game.
Yes.
All right. So I only have nitrogen rounds in the trash, so I may as well just play the one I have. And shoot ice cubes into Deadline's face. Hot ice cubes. Hot damage.
Hot damage! Check out the scene.
That is a good question. I wonder if anyone's asked Christopher that, is why is it cold damage and fire damage
instead of cold
and
not
hot? Well, why isn't it
ice and fire?
Hot damage. Yeah, why isn't it hot damage and ice damage? So
maybe he was reading George R.R. Martin and didn't want to compete with him or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
The classic book series, A Song of Hot and Cold.
I totally screwed this up. because I put.
You put the wrong one.
Put the wrong one on top. Ugh. So neither of these are useful in any way. Well, I guess I can draw a card with conservation of energy.
Draw a different card. Well, you would draw that.
I would draw that card, and then I would fabricate. That's what I'm going to do, just because I want to see what happens. So, all right, so we'll draw that. So we got the wounding buffer, and now we're going to fabricate.
Watch this do nothing.
A potent disruption. So we'll put that in my hand, and then hopefully we set up next turn.
I probably would have just double draw.
Yeah. It would have had literally the exact same effect, I think. No, it
except you would also have conservation of energy in your hand.
Ah, right.
Oh, that's true. Scherzo of Frost and Flame is a song of ice and fire.
Ah.
Sneaky.
Actually, someone corrected our pronunciation of that once on the stream. It's like Scherzo or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I was gonna say Flame Spike is definitely that's definitely the Jeremy approved deal all the damage.
Yes.
Move.
He can flip on his turn, but is unlikely to. But I mean 1 damage to him versus potentially protecting us from like 4 damage. Yeah, I'll block it.
Speedy Yolrak says the email today from you guys is really moving. Well, thank you. We sort of, it's one of the things that we've tried to do a lot in our just sort of here's who we are as a corporation, our corporate culture, if you will, if you allow me to be somewhat cheesy for a minute, is that we want to be as upfront and honest with people as possible. Like we think we make a good product, we think we charge a fair price, and we're happy to explain how we come to decisions as publicly as possible. And that was what today's update was about, was, we've seen some of our Kickstarter's in a really interesting space because we are a video game, but we sort of come, our heritage is sort of tabletop gaming, and tabletop gaming on Kickstarter is very different than video gaming on Kickstarter. And so we're kind of trying to be a tabletop Kickstarter in the world of video game Kickstarters. And so as a result, we have our tabletop fans / our digital tabletop fans who all totally get it and have been wonderful. And then we have a bunch of people who are like video game people who, I don't want to say don't get it, but like are confused by some of the things we're trying to do. And I get it. We are doing things a little differently than both video game Kickstarters and tabletop Kickstarters. So we're kind of in a weird spot, and I get that. But I sort of, generally speaking, I ascribe to the philosophy that like more information can never be bad. So, we thought we'd put out some information about how we do what we do and let you guys do with it what you will. So I'm glad that you guys are appreciative of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And now we know that it's pronounced scherzo.
Oh, did someone say that?
Well, you can. I typed into my terminal say scherzo, and Alex told me how to say it.
Yeah, Lou Dolphin says too, scherzo.
Scherzo. I'm surprised Jean-Marc didn't correct us. He's the music guy. Come on, Jean-Marc. What else musically?
One more slip up like that, Jean-Marc, and you're done.
That's right. We need to know how to say the things right and how many times we can make a song minor. I'm just going to work that joke as long as I can.
How much more minor? All
Discard all your cards and do all the damage. Well, maybe just 2 of them.
Yeah, I would. Ball lightning or electrical storm?
No, I would discard electrical storm and play ball lightning.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Ball lightning is gonna let me do more damage right now, even though there's not ongoings that I want to get rid of.
Yeah, he's like almost going to be gone on your turn. So actually, very close to being gone. Will he have 1 hit point? Or will he be gone?
Nope. He's gone because I used Grievous Hailstorm instead of my base power.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Well, there you go. Take that.
There's that victory music. Take a deadline.
Deadline's a cool villain, but he's definitely not the hyper difficult type of villain, but that's all right. You don't want all your villains to be hyper difficult.
Well, and I will also say this. So we talked a little bit about his story up front, and I would hope that from that story it would be pretty obvious why he becomes Lifeline. We obviously don't have the specific story reasons, but since he's not fighting the heroes because he wants to fight the heroes. He's fighting the heroes because they are on the planet that is causing the problem, at least as far as he can tell. And so I'm assuming the storyline there is going to be he gets convinced that no, it's not really us, it's actually Oblivion, and so let's work together to get him out of there. And so therefore he then becomes Lifeline, and there you have it. But yeah, I think, again, it's, one of the main things about this game that is so much fun is those little story things. Like, it's not just scenery chewing crazy villains who just want to cause damage because they like to watch the world burn. They have their own stories, like their own motivations. Exactly. That's my thing. I don't need more villains thinking that that's what to do, because that's what I do. So anyway, so yeah, that's good stuff. All right, it is 8:15. What do you think? We're gonna try another one?
I think so.
All right.